What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing the X-Way tire change, changing over to the Shinko 241. Before I start this video, I just want to say I do not know how to actually change the tire on this wheel, but I have done 10 or so different tire changes on all sorts of different wheels in my 3 years of riding EUCs, so I'm pretty sure we can figure it out. The general process, which we're going to start with, we're going to start by taking off the pedals. Then we're going to try to take the pedal hanger off, and then we got to get to the motor cable somehow. So I saw in the official Begode X-Way Disassembly guide that you can take this middle column out and leave the battery boxes on. So I'm really hoping that all we have to do is take the pedals off, take the pedal hanger off, take the middle section out on both sides, and then we'll have access to the motor cable and the motor bolts. My plan might be a little foolish if we have to take the tension off of the suspension. In that case, we might have to do a little bit more work taking apart this linkage. But for now, I think the plan is totally doable. And real quick, I just want to say I put my first 20-30 miles on this wheel last night. Freaking blast. Love the wheel. But that tire, that Kenda 262, it has got to go. So we got the 241 ready to go on it. I am going to be fast forwarding through a lot of the tire change. And when I say fast forwarding, it means it'll probably be on a time lapse when I'm just working. So I will do my best to check in at every step and let you know what's going on. But just given the fact that I don't even know how to change this tire, means that I might have some downtime and some unused space. So let's go ahead and get started. Drop you guys down a little bit. Bam, okay. All right. Okay, so I just ran into my first set of problems. So in the Begode disassembly video, they unscrew this middle section, but what they don't tell you is that these screws are like, I think these are called Torx screws, the star-shaped ones. I think I have to undo the star-shaped Torx ones, and this like middle panel will slide out. So luckily my drill came with all these attachments, and I think one of these should fit. So we'll see if we can get that torque bit going. Okay, so I got the middle portion out, and you can now see the full slider mechanism. Same comment on this bottom bracket. It also is a Torx bit, so you're gonna wanna make sure you have the right head for this part. Okay, now look at this wrong way. They did not use pedal hanger screws for the suspension stop. You have a pre-production unit. This is the production unit. These are not pedal hanger screws stopping the suspension. Okay, thanks. Oof. Did you see that? When I just dropped that off, the suspension flew out. So I think I was supposed to relieve some of that tension, but that's okay. Maybe we'll just work around it. Okay, let's see where we're at this point. Okay, so to recap, we have taken off the pedal hangers, the pedals. There's 2 plates below the pedal hangers. There's a big plate down the middle. We got all that out. We did it on both sides. Once we popped out that bottom thing, the suspension, which I did not release the tension on, I just pushed down. So what I'm hoping will happen is that I'm gonna get in here, I'm gonna unscrew this bolt that is blocking the motor cable from being released. I'm gonna release the motor cable. I might have to undo some clips or something on the inside, but once I do that, hopefully the motor will drop out. You can see it's already fairly loose. So let's keep going. Okay, I think I got the game plan. So I just undid the motor cable. You can see that bracket is gone. I can move the cable. Now if you look in here, let me turn my light on for you. There are 1 and 2 clips holding on to that motor cable. So we're gonna undo those 2 clips. Okay, now that we got that out, we should be able to hit these 6 motor bolts and be done with the process. So let's do that, see what happens. Okay. Okay, quick recap. This is what the work area looks like right now. We've run into a big problem, and it's totally my fault. So the tension in the suspension, it needs to be taken away. But I've already literally unscrewed everything. So at this point, the motor is not even attached to the suspension. So if I sat the wheel up and sat on it, I don't think the suspension would even move. So I need to find a way to relieve the tension on the spring. And I think what I have to do is go get the preload wrench thing, undo all of the preload, and then take off the linkage bolt. So that's what I'm going to be trying now. And hopefully once I do that, the motor will be cleared for removal. Okay, this is really hard to show you guys, but the problem is there's tension on the spring, so I can't pull the motor down because this needs to go up. So I have to take the tension off the spring, and I'm doing that with the tool they provided. So you're going to want to go in and turn it to the right. Going to the right relieves the tension. So hard to do while filming, but get it in there. Turn that collar to the right, probably like 100 times, and then hopefully the tension should be coming out. But yeah, I'll tune back in. I can't do this and film at the same time, so I'll tune in and let you know what happens. All right, so I just got all the tension off of the spring. The shock is in there completely loose. I can move it around, but basically I wanted to push the wheel up enough so I have access to this bolt. I'm going to unscrew this bolt, which in theory should undo any pressure from the linkage and allow this part of the wheel to move all the way up here, which will give me increased room for the motor cable to slide out. So that's the game plan. I'm going to do it real quick. My phone is literally on 1% because I've been recording like an hour straight. So I'm going to tune back in a second. Be right back. Okay, so what I had to do to release that nut was to get the wheel on its front like this, and then come in with the screw. And once I do this, should be no pressure on the linkage whatsoever. And we should have a free motor. Put some pressure on it. Compress it a little bit. There we go. Okay, fuck. Okay, so now the linkage should be free. And this motor should come out once I compress it. This is the reason why the linkage did not disengage immediately. It was hooked on. Oops. Let me get you, all right, sorry, it's very hard to record this way. It's hooked on. So what you're gonna do, hold on to the bushing, lift it up, slide it out of the way. Same thing on the other side, push it down, hold on to the bushing, get it in there. Okay, and now that it's actually free, watch this, all that work, yes. Okay, checking back in from where I last left off. I couldn't get the battery cable out straight forward, so let me tell you what I did. I reached my hand on the inside and I lifted the battery cable up a little bit. Not sure if you can tell, but there's some travel there. I lifted the battery box up and I unthreaded the motor cable from in between here into the interior of the wheel and pulled it around the bottom edge. So that's giving me enough space to get the motor out. Now, I'm gonna not record myself putting on the 241. You guys have seen tire changes before. If you haven't, go look up Duff zip tie method, because that's exactly what I'm about to do. But yeah, reassembling this is gonna be a whole lot of fun. This wheel is a lot more complicated than a veteran wheel. On my Sherman L, it literally is 20 bolts and one side to get the tire changed. That's a lot of bolts. So I'll do my best. I might record the reassembly, I might not, but either way, I'm gonna hit every single bolt with this blue Loctite. Do not put red Loctite on there. Hit every bolt with blue Loctite. And yeah, I'll report any problems I have, but thanks for tuning in. We finally managed to do it. Okay, friends, I just finally finished the tire change. I started at 2 p.m. It is now 7 p.m. And I did not do this the most optimal way. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you some very quick pointers to hopefully make it not take you 5 hours. First thing, this middle column, there is a top and a bottom. So if you slide it in and you don't see any holes, flip it around. The second thing, the linkage. This linkage was really hard to get back installed onto this bushing. So what I did was take an Allen wrench or a hex key or something, stick it through both sides, through where this hole would be, through the spring, through to the other side, and then just shake the wheel up and down. I did that like 5 times and it popped into place finally. Let's see what else. The motor cable, I've not been able to get it back under there. It's gonna be okay. I'm just gonna leave it how it is. The motor bolts, there's 5 on one side, 6 on the other. It took me a really long time to get the motor aligned so where the holes were showing where they were supposed to be. And what made the difference for me was on the right side of the wheel, there is the motor cable. You need to put the motor cable to the right of this. Basically, you're gonna see a bracket on this is the bracket. Above this second screw, you need to put the motor cable above that. When you're putting it together, it's gonna be sticking out this way and coming up and around. You need to push it past the second bolt. So a couple other random things. It took me a long time. If I had to do this process again, I would start with the linkage first. The very first thing I would do was undo all the preload, undo the linkage, and that way the motor is gonna move up and down freely. And then you do exactly what I showed you: pedals, pedal hanger, middle piece, motor cable on the inside right here, and then you'll have the motor bolts. Once you do that on both sides, the motor will drop out like I showed you, and you'll be free to change the tire however you like. But yeah, looking back on it, that was by far the most difficult tire change I've ever done. I've changed the tire on all 7 or 8 of the EUCs I've ever owned. And again, by far the most difficult tire change I've ever done. But some of you guys might be used to it because I've never had to take apart that linkage before. That's new to me. And some of the other stuff that I kind of figured out along the way. So long story short, fucking finally have the best tire in the world on here. Shinko 241. Make sure you get the right size. This one is 14 times 2.75. That's exactly what it is. 2.75 times 14. All right, guys, signing off. Finally did it. Hope you can too. Best of luck.